Welcome back. You're watching ED Inside. The story of internet in India is a little like a fool's tale, full of sound and fury but little substance. But will that change? More importantly, what will make it change? To debate that, I have with me two of the best known internet entrepreneurs in India, Ajit Balakrishnan of Rediff and Surya Sujan of Bazi fame and now Nexus Venture Partners. Ajit, it's been about 14 years for the Rediff journey, but it's still a $20 million company. Are you happy with the way Rediff has done so far?
Well, happy in one sense, because in these kind of industries it's very important to establish an early lead, which I think we have. Because later it's almost impossible to enter these industries because the barriers to entry get set up very, very fast. But on the other hand, it's the classic Indian case of glass half full or half empty. The internet user base, the broadband user base, it's about 10% of what I thought it would be when I founded the company. So that's something we need to get that fixed.
So obviously calculations gone wrong there, Suvi. So why do you think for companies like Rediff, scaling up is such a huge challenge? Why are they not able to grow beyond a particular size?
My opinion is that the advertising market initially, when Rediff and Bazi now started, was sort of spoiled with a performance mindset. The reason for that was there was a very short duration of a funding cycle in India to create a lot of .coms that could support an ecosystem. And so a lot of advertisers actually came on board in the sort of the downtimes of, they grew up in the downtimes of the internet, and they were spoiled by publishers like us or anybody else going to them and saying, we would like to make revenues for our company, so we will do anything for you. And that caused a sort of a mindset with advertisers that has now taken a decade to try and shift.
So Ajit, that must be phenomenally frustrating to you as someone who runs one of the finest internet companies in India.
India is a conservative country. Advertisers are conservative. The big advertisers like Colgate and Levers do not really, they're all mass market advertisers aimed at rural India. I think it's a question of another 18 months to 24 months before these things get resolved.
Right. But isn't it ironic that internet is actually a medium which allows you to target your consumers much more intelligently? In fact, you can build a lot of intelligence around who your customers are and then target specific offerings at them. So why is it that in India it hasn't become such a big hit? It's already happening in the US, but in India people are still hesitant.
No, I think that's changing. I think Ajit's right. I think what's happened is that given that there was a perception issue of the net in this country, that perception is now changing given that there is a critical mass today. We hear numbers of 15, 20 million Facebook users, we hear numbers of 70 million internet users. Critical mass has arrived. So the question now is, now you see in every ad agency's budget, the internet is actually a line item, which is first sort of marked as other 2 or 3 years ago.
Now, if you look at the 50 or 55 million people who are supposed to be online in India, just a fraction, in fact, just 5 million are supposed to be transacting online. So what's holding internet users back? What's keeping them from shopping online?
I think some of it has to do with the quality of access. In every country in the world, you find that when broadband picks up, that's when e-commerce drives up. When you have constrained access, for example, through cyber cafes or office-based access, you tend to try and do things when your boss is not looking at you, or you tend to go into a cyber cafe, quickly check your mail and leave before you run up a bill. That's not the situation. Every country in the world where broadband is taken off, e-commerce follows, and when e-commerce follows, advertising follows them. That's the virtuous cycle which gets set up. And India, that's been a real constraint. The political economy of the telecom companies in India have never made it worth their while to invest in broadband because the returns are over 20 years, unlike cellular mobile phones, where the valuations are based on number of subscribers, or more accurately, number of SIM cards they sell. Right. So they've been on that metric for quite some time. But things, in my view, are changing this year again with the TRAI plan to invest in broadband.
Payments is a big issue. I think there's a big issue of actually being able to have returns. If you don't like the product, you should give it back. And so again, the question is how does the infrastructure support you picking up an item from a person's house and bringing it back to the company? So that's another big issue. Third issue is that you want, in the terms of an e-commerce system, you want to actually have instant gratification. You want to be able to click the button and say, I'll get the item in 24 hours. That requires a lot of B2B systems. So your procurement has to be streamlined at the back end. Right. Your ordering, your billing. All that also requires a lot of technology and usage of that technology by suppliers. So there's a lot of work that has to be done beyond the sort of what we call the users that will grow over time. It's the back end that actually also has a lot of work to be done.
Obviously, the challenge now is to create an ecosystem which actually makes e-commerce really work. So how is this going to fall into place? So is it a chicken and egg situation?
No, I'm pretty certain that the broadband investments will happen in the next 18 months. Some of it will be through wireless, definitely. Some of it will be through, but definitely most of it has to be through fiber laid on the ground. And as I mentioned to you a little while ago, I think there is a TRAI plan on the table to spend 35,000 crores to create a backhaul infrastructure for broadband. I think we need to put our weight behind that. And it's, normally when TRAI announces any plans, there's a scream of pain from the telecom industry. This time there's been complete silence, so hopefully things will move forward on this one.
Internet is also all about partnering with others. That's how you create the whole system. So what kind of partnerships or what kind of a REDIF would you want to create, let's say, in the next 5 years?
I wish we had 100 more companies like Sureet. So we need more VC companies, and we need VC companies of the kind of background that he comes from, which is that people, the principals have operating experience. Very often what happens is a large number of our VCs are investment bankers and former McKinsey consultants, and my call with them is for them, most of them create a PowerPoint presentation and they feel that's done. Whereas the pain of running a business, which only an entrepreneur can appreciate, looking at crossing the T's and dotting the I's, we need more entrepreneur investors of the kind that these guys represent. You need that because many of our entrepreneurs are very young and by definition inexperienced. And they don't come from business families. They don't even know what a contract is very often. So you need more, we need hopefully Indian pension funds and LIC and UTI to start putting long-term capital into VC funds so that we have a domestic VC industry. Today when you have a US-funded VC industry, we are too involved in the cycles of US commerce. When they go down, all the VCs disappear.
So Sunil, what kind of a landscape do you see emerging, let's say, over the next 5 years, especially in the e-commerce space? What kind of websites or what kind of models will get built?
I think you will definitely see a bunch of vertical e-commerce sites emerge outside travel. You might even see a horizontal play as well emerge. I think I can go back to my earlier comment. I think you will see a lot of the ecosystem emerge. You might see payment companies emerge. You will probably see companies on the B2B supply chain emerge. You will see companies that are able to efficiently optimize your ads on your content sites emerge. You will see, I think as a point, you will see possibly specialized plays to be able to cater to e-commerce only for the mobile phone emerge. You will see specialized plays that will cater to only content and community for the mobile phone emerge. So there is a lot that can emerge over the next decade.
I started this discussion by saying that the internet story in India is like a fool's tale. Do you think that's going to change? Are you hopeful of...
I'll tell you, it's not a fool's tale. I'll tell you what once long ago, in 1920s, a European came to India and said there is no market for shoes. They asked him why, and the guy says everyone's walking around barefoot. But somebody else showed up and there's a huge market for shoes because everyone's walking around barefoot. That is butter. Right. So, I belong to the butter school of thought on this, But
that's all in this edition of ET Inside. We'll be back next week. But until then, don't forget to write in with your feedback and suggestions. Thanks so much for watching.
So what are news bulletins for you? Stories, views, talking heads, 30 minutes, presenting top 10